No, good. You're so, okay, good. All right, welcome to Side Action, episode 82. We are still working out technical issues. In season three, episode 13. This is Jim Weglars, aka Wegs. You can follow me at Wegspool on Twitter and Instagram.
This is Steve Roberts, aka Action. You can follow me on Twitter at 31sroberts.
Follow the podcast at Side Action Pod on Twitter and YouTube. So, how was your Thanksgiving holiday? You were a traveling man, and now you went back home to get back to Ferndale, right?
That's right. Pandemic be damned. We hit the road just like all of these mayors that across the country that are going around telling people to stay home while on vacation.
Right.
That cracked me up. But we were in Nevada and Utah. I think last we spoke, we were in Utah, and then came home Friday night and had a very nice, relaxing weekend watching picks. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, I froze up a little bit, but yeah, had a big week. I didn't do it really much at all. My daughter was here. I think we talked about that last week. So she was here for the holiday, which was nice, but she shipped out early Saturday morning. So I just kind of laid her around. And as we've been discussing, we're both working like champs. So this isn't our main gig. So I got some work done and then watched our picks roll in action, just roll on in. Had the best week we've had. And we had did we have a 5-0 week last year?
I think once, yeah.
Yeah. So
first one this season, but I think we'll have more to come in the future weeks.
Oh, absolutely. We're going undefeated here. That's how we're doing it. But now we're back at it, trying to, let's jump right into this, man. I don't know what to say. I mean, we talked a little bit last week. We knew that Baltimore and Pittsburgh was a little bit weird. I don't know at that time when we taped it, did we know it was going to be moved or not? But I guess we might have. But then they kept moving it around, and then they played yesterday afternoon action. I never in my life have I seen a Wednesday afternoon game for the same week. And tell me this, and I just want your opinion. Why would they move the Pittsburgh game like basically, what was it, 6 days out from their original schedule, but they make Denver play with no quarterback on a Sunday at the same scheduled time?
From what I gather, what little I know about the regulations, I think it has specifically to do with the number of positive cases on the team, the club in question, and the number of continuing positive cases. Okay. So I think the major difference was in the Denver situation, you had a few quarterbacks who were quarantined just for being in close proximity and not having masks on, did not necessarily test positive. Whereas with Baltimore's case, you had a number of players who actually tested positive. So the move was more to stem any potential outbreak throughout the league, as opposed to the Broncos were just kind of screwed because they had some dumbass quarterbacks.
Yeah. Thanks, Drew Lock. But it helped us out. I mean, actually, we were on the Saints anyway, and we got, what was it? It was 4.5 or something in the contest. It was a low number, and then I think that number topped out about 10.5 come game day. So we were sitting pretty, and luckily, we talk about this later, that the field really didn't get on the Saints, and so that was a lower pick game, so it really helped us. And not only did we do really well, everybody else didn't pick that game. It didn't pick a lot of good games, so we soared in the standings.
And the timing of that news was impeccable for us because it came out like right after the deadline on Saturday. So we put in the Saints, and then like an hour later, I saw that Broncos would have no quarterback for the game on Sunday, and I think we both chalked it up as a W at that point.
Absolutely. So there's that. I just kind of put in some names here. I saw Julian Edelman on the list this week from New England. They're going to travel this week. We've got Vita Vea, although I thought he was hurt already. But I thought he was already hurt, but maybe he also has COVID. So that was strange for Tampa. Adam Thielen missed the game last week, as did Jonathan Taylor and James Conner. I don't know how the protocol works. They probably have to get 2 negative tests or something before they can play again. Mm-hmm. So right now they're still on the list, but they may be cleared come, Sunday, I suppose. Or Connor's playing Sunday, or he's playing Monday, isn't he?
Pittsburgh Steelers, I believe, were moved to Sunday. Yeah, we get the schedule in here. Or no, you're right, Monday. It's
Yeah,
the Ravens and Dallas game, which is Tuesday, which is going to be
exactly.
out of our purview for contest purposes.
Right, which is great. So, but I mean, the thing about what we've noticed the last couple weeks, or I've noticed, is that these you got to check the reports. To your point, on Saturday, of course, that's when we talked really early in the season. We talked about how they were going to test the day before, especially with traveling teams, and they test every day. But we're getting news the day before, or even the day of. Hey, this guy's out. So it really changes the betting landscape. I've been waiting to put picks in. I know you're a live better. What would you say to our listeners to kind of how would you approach this going forward? Because it's even more cases than early in the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really difficult to try and handicap surrounding unknown COVID cases early in the week. I'm still putting in numbers or bets early in the week at
Mhm.
numbers that I think are going to disappear
Right.
when I see value. But certainly, you're going to have some move against you in a dramatic fashion. If you were to pick a team, say Denver, for example, from last week, you would have lost like 10 or 12 points of value there if
Right.
you went early. But I don't think there's any way to predict it. And it's just a matter of your risk, whether or not you really like the number or if you would prefer to wait and miss out on maybe a half point or two if it moves.
Right. Right. I mean, that's no big deal, but I did see some movement in some of those games, like you said. So,
Mhm.
well, let's recap week 12, kind of another crazy week. They're all crazy these days. And just to recap, we're back to the Road Warriors. 10 road teams won this week out of all 16. Weird how all 16 teams played last week, despite all the moving of Pittsburgh and the Ravens. And then this week, in week 13, we have a bye week. But anyway, so 10 home team or 6 home teams against 10 road teams last week. Kind of split more on favorites 1-7 and the dogs 9 this week. And then the unders came in big. 11 unders and only 5 overs, which is almost an inverse from early in the season.
Yeah. I think part of that has to do with you're seeing some divisional games being played a second time now.
Yep.
That lends itself to unders more typically. And also the weather in a lot of areas throughout the country. You're seeing some inclement weather, colder temps, which are hindering scoring a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, well, here's some positives that I noted from week 12. Watson to Fuller, more on that later. But that dude, when Fuller is on in that offense can move. And when Watson finds Fuller, which he found him multiple times in this game for 171 yards total and 2 touchdowns. Watson lit it up. 4 touchdowns on Thanksgiving Day. Detroit looked terrible, and it led to finally the firing of hoodie number 2, Matt Patricia. Your Lions. Are you crying and shedding a tear for Matt Patricia today?
No, I think I'm rejoicing with the rest of Southeast Michigan at the firing of Matt Patricia. I think he's a good firing candidate without a
Yeah,
doubt, and I think that the Lions may be looking for a new quarterback too. They have a little bit of house cleaning to do.
it'll be a clean house. They lost 41-25 on Thanksgiving. They started off the game with 2 quick turnovers. It was looking pretty bad right away. I mean, they kind of fought for a little bit, and then it was just the Watson show and to Fuller. But we'll talk about Fuller in a minute. I was talking about one of our picks, which, very excited that we went against our proxy in this one. The Falcons just pummel the Raiders. They welcomed the Raiders into Atlanta and just said, "Hey, you guys think you're good? Well, we're going to destroy you, 43-6." And mostly on the back of turnovers. I was looking at the box score. It wasn't that they didn't move the ball or it was kind of even, but 5 turnovers, including a pick six. And they've played really good. The Falcons have played much better against Raheem Morris. Getting Quinn out of there was their best move they did all year.
Yeah, I read somewhere on Twitter that the Falcons were the second coming of the Steel Curtain defense this weekend because they were just pummeling the Raiders on every possession. I mean,
Hmm.
what a total, but 3-6 was the final score.
Yep.
And it was certainly impressed by that defense. As soon as we saw that Julio Jones was out on Sunday
Hmm.
morning, I was kind of feeling downtrodden about this pick, but the
Right.
defense really came out and won that game for them. Despite some Atlanta red zone inconsistencies early in the game, I think they kicked 3 field goals on the first 3 possessions. It could
Right.
have been much worse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It should have been worse. Yeah. So, yeah, I think a couple of things. I mean, I don't know if you heard Gruden literally apologize to the fans for that effort. But really, ultimately really hurts the Raiders' chances in the playoffs. That was a bad loss for them. They now drop technically out of the playoff picture, I think, right now. But I mean, they still can do it. But it's weird how they could play so well against the Chiefs and then they obviously let down like we expected. One of the guys, my guys, King Henry. Henry's back, baby. I didn't cash in that MVP ticket yet. I cashed in a couple of my other futures bets to get, pennies on the dollar. But in this case, man, 178 yards rushing. He destroyed your Colts. We like this pick quite a bit. 3 touchdowns. Final score was 45-26, but it was more like 41-14 for most of that game. And he's back in contention. He probably won't win. I know Mahomes is probably the leader now, but what do you think about the Titans and Henry?
Yeah, I mean, that offense certainly impressive. I think that it was a little bit of a ruse because you had so many injuries on that Colts team on Sunday. DeForest Buckner was out, Bobby Okereke and company, and they certainly had no chance against the Titans running game. But Tannehill was good too. I mean, he turned into 4th best performance according to Football Outsiders, 221 passing yards in his own right. But I still am a little bit questioning this Tennessee Titans defense. I'm not really sure that they're capable of rising up and doing any damage in the playoffs. And I know that the division odds had flipped quite a bit back in Tennessee's favor, but I wouldn't rule out Indianapolis just yet.
Right. Of course. The last positive note is Tyreek Hill is fast. This just in. Dude's fast. Nicknamed the Cheetah. And he was just, that was when I watched that game, against the Bucs this weekend, he looked, I don't know, not just the fastest guy in the field, but by a lot. It was kind of sad at first. Now, granted, they were kicking the crap out of the Bucs and let them got back, and they actually got within the number. In the end, they won 27-24. So if you're a bettor, you're like, screw you, Wags. We got our cover, but they really had no business covering this one. Hill had 200 yards receiving in the first quarter, finished with 3 touchdowns on the game. And I think they just kind of wrote it out. I mean, they didn't have to score anymore to win that game. But, man, when Hill is healthy and that team has everybody healthy, it's tough to stop.
Yeah, what an incredible performance. I mean, mostly in the first half, too. I think that the Chiefs took their foot off the gas a little bit there, or else Tyreek could have had a record-breaking day. But still finished 269 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. And Patrick Mahomes was excellent, too. That's probably one of the best games in my memory that he's played recently, although you could point to a lot more of them. He's the one quarterback that in recent history, in my memory, who just never plays bad games. I can't remember one, maybe a half against Oakland or Las Vegas earlier this season. But outside of that, he doesn't put up any stinkers like others are prone to do.
Right, it's true. He's very consistent, makes plays, and if they lose, it's usually not because they haven't scored. It's a defensive breakdown. All right, let's hit your negatives. Woo, there's a lot of them, and I didn't even include Matt Patricia on this list. First of all, on Thanksgiving Day, that we got robbed of one game with Baltimore and Pittsburgh, so we get the second game, which seemed like a pretty good game for a while. But my headline is Mike McCarthy stinks. This just in. We've discussed this early in the season. We thought, well, maybe I didn't like the hire at all when they hired him with the Cowboys, but he has all this talent. And I kind of made the note, move over Anthony Lynn, who's in the next note. McCarthy could be worse. I don't know what the deal is. He's going for 4th down in his own territory on 4th and short. He's throwing the ball. He's going for fake punts deep in his territory, down 4 points late. They ended up getting housed 41-16, and mostly in the 4th quarter. I don't know. I know that we probably just discussed this, that Jerry Jones won't fire him because of the financial commitment, but he was obviously the wrong hire. He stinks.
Man, you're not kidding. I think you and I discussed this a little bit. He went from being on the far right end of the spectrum in conservative football to like extreme left end now. And he is just not a good football coach. And it's really unfortunate because this Cowboys roster is way better suited to win games, even without Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
And while they're still in the race for the division, only one game back, remarkably, it's hard to fathom that Dallas could make a run at the division title.
Well, yeah, my preseason leaders in this division were Dallas and the Eagles, and neither of those two teams are at the top. You've got Washington and the Giants now. So it's crazy. And actually, it's a shame because the defense is playing better. That 41 points is we're mostly based on turnovers. There was a late, defensive score and that stupid decision to go for it and deep in your territory. So they were in the game late in the fourth quarter. It's just, duh.
Yeah.
Next one is our guy Anthony Lynn. Boy, and I did not bet this game. I think you did, and I know that our guy Rainmaker did as well. But they lose 27-17. It really wasn't that close of a game, but the number was 5.5 that they were getting on the road. We were almost on this in the contest. Thankfully, we stepped off. My note is, they're 3-8 on the year in the Chargers, but they're 0-5 against the spread since week 7. So they haven't covered a spread since. And I know I'm probably going to be suggesting them later mistakenly, but damn, that's a rough beat. And then late in the game, they could have covered, right? They couldn't even punch it in there.
Oh, they should have covered. I mean, I just can't quit Anthony Lynn and the Chargers. I don't know why, but thankfully we talked ourselves off of it. They ended up being our 6th pick on the card this week and didn't cost us because that would have been a brutal finish for contest purposes. I mean, it was kind of a Hail Mary just to get down into that position, but 30 plus seconds left, no timeouts, and somehow they run the ball straight into the line. And the clock keeps ticking. And I don't know if you saw the interview from Coach Anthony Lynn after the game. A reporter asked some very good, pointed questions, and his only response was, "I don't know." So,
it was funny as it was like fourth and, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 4th and 17, and they complete a 50-yard bomb. So I mean, they're not going to win. They complete this 50-yard bomb. So everybody better across America. Now, granted, I'll full disclosure, I was on Buffalo minus 4.5, so I did not want that score. But man, they get down there like at the 3-yard line, they can't get it in with whatever 30 seconds to go. It's just crazy. And I just, what could be said? He's going to be gone too.
Yeah, and then on the next play, Herbert lines up and tries to run a sneak, and the entire offensive line drops back in pass protection. So just completely fumbled the end of that game. Maybe they just realized they weren't going to get back in and win it, and they just didn't try. But it happens week after week.
Yeah, week after week, they're blowing, especially late in games. So that's coaching. A couple more. I'll glaze over Broncos. We talked a little bit about it just to give more color to this, as people who maybe don't watch the NFL, but they listen to us somehow. They obviously Denver had a bad situation with the quarterback's room. They bring on wide receiver, former college quarterback. I don't even know if he was a full-time college quarterback, Kendall Hinton. 1 year. He goes 1 for 9 passing for 13 yards. That's not going to get it done against the Saints this year. Action. They lose 31-3. Wow, that was a rough one.
Yeah, it may surprise you to know that actually outperformed several other quarterbacks according to Football Outsiders after that 1 for 9 performance. But the Broncos just had no chance in this game. It was a miracle that they scored 3 points. So, unfortunate.
Unbelievable. 2 more. Jared Goff, maybe he's one of those guys under this. Jared Goff does it again. He helped us out. We were on San Francisco here. We definitely like this. 3 turnovers again in this one, including a pick 6. Gives the 49ers the outright win and sweep the season series against the Rams. And it's funny because, San Francisco's got tons of injuries. So it's not like it's that menacing front that you saw last year, but he just crumbles against their pressure. And it must be that Saleh, that's his name, right? The defensive coordinator, Saleh, I think his last name is. Mm-hmm. He just must know how to get in his grill and cough up the rock. So they end up taking a back step in that division. And San Francisco's still not out of the playoff picture.
Yeah, I think we talked about it last week. Shanahan just has McVay's number. McVay can't beat him regardless of the quarterback or the team on the field. And it proved itself again this week with another terrible Jared Goff performance. I think I read between the second quarter and the third quarter that he went 30 minutes of game time with only 1 first down. So another one of those outings where Goff gets under pressure and he just can't complete passes. And that's the handicap against the Rams, no doubt.
That's right. The last one is our favorite punching bag, Carson Wentz. But in this one, I listed as a negative into a positive. It depends on your number here. Carson Wentz, God, he was horrible on Monday Night Football. It's too bad. The defense played really well. They gave up a big day to Metcalf. I mean, 170 plus yards receiving. But other than that, I mean, 23 points against Seattle, 301 yards offense, and that was with a couple big plays. They were in the mix, but they just can't score. And I don't understand. They didn't have like a first. I think they had 0 first downs in the first quarter, if I'm not mistaken, or 4 yards or something. And I don't know what it is. I mean, Peterson just, I don't know. He's lost this team, maybe because Reich left calling the plays, but luckily they got a total garbage score. And I actually think that Peterson had money on this game because here's my theory. Here's my theory. I'm watching the game. I actually am a Carson Wentz owner in fantasy, which has been rough, but I bet on the Eagles to get in the back door. I had 6.5 in this game. And I'm thinking he did too, because they're down 20-9 with plenty of time. They get, it's 4th and whatever it was, 5 or something at the 20. They go for it on 4th down. And then Wentz throws a pick instead of kicking a field goal. You're down by the 11 points. You need to score twice. So he throws the pick, okay, the game's over. But then luckily, despite a field goal by Seattle, they just put up a total garbage time score with Richard Rodgers making like an incredible catch, and they get in the back door. Now in the contest, I think it was 5.5, but for most bettors, I think it got up to 6.5.
Yeah, that was certainly a backdoor cover. That fits the description to a T, and with the 2-point conversion too that they needed.
Oh.
So,
I mean, I won't tell you, but I guess I can. One of the guys in our league, he had Miles Sanders, right? And they went for the 2 points. Again, you're down by 14. You get the score. You just kick the extra point. You're down 7. They go for 2. That's why I think he had the money on the game. And Miles Sanders runs it in. In our league, that 2-point score gets him in the playoffs, basically. Wow. He was probably going to be out if he loses just because of his points and stuff. That one basically solidifies his spot. So unbelievable. All right, so just some injuries. I know I put a lot of people on here. I only list them because it means something to most of these games. Gurley and Jones are still questionable for Atlanta, one with a knee, one with the hamstring. We'll see what happens there, even though, I mean, they're playing the Saints. They need everybody. John Brown for Buffalo, he's on IR now with his ankle. Dallas, now it seems like all these injuries are stacking up again. You've got your offensive tackle, Cameron Irving is doubtful with his knee. Zach Martin is out with his calf. So I don't know if they're just giving up on the season. And then Denver, Bryce Callahan, he's a good corner who's out with his foot injury. And then the Detroit guys, I mean, who's going to play on that team? Galladay hasn't played much this year. He's like questionable again. Swift with the questionable. He missed the game last week with a concussion. Your guy, Ryan Kelly, questionable.
Yeah.
Indian with his neck. He's key to that offense. Anyway, there's a bunch of names on here, but I just, I list them out just because I think like Josh Jacobs' ankle, he's critical to that offense, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you got Daniel Jones on here. That's going to be a huge questionable tag this week. The drop off from him to Colt McCoy, I think, is considerable. Mm-hmm. And also Lane Johnson, tackle for the Eagles, certainly isn't going to help if you have Carson Wentz back there who loves to fumble. So
he loves to fumble. And then I also listed Jalen Ramsey. He's only questionable, but he's critical to the Rams, playing against, obviously they're going to play against Arizona this week. So most of them are questionable tags, so you got to check them out as we get closer. And then, of course, I alluded to this already. Will Fuller, Mr. Incredible, well, he's suspended till next year. PED suspension, 6 games, so he's out for the rest of the year. And Houston released Kenny Stills, so they basically only have – and Brandon Cooks, that guy's been silent this year.
Yeah.
But they basically don't have any kind of receivers this week when they play the Colts.
I don't think they're going to have any receivers that we've ever heard of.
Right.
Randall Cobb is out too on IR, so I think it's down to some guy named Isaiah Coulter and Kiki Kuti. May have heard him once or twice. Yeah. But Brandon Cook's still in there too. I think that's going to be a considerable difficult spot for the Texans now.
Absolutely. Well, let's roll right into the previews then. There's no Thursday night game. We're taping Thursday because they moved everything around. There's going to be 2 games on Monday night and 1 on Tuesday. Tuesday, we probably won't discuss much because it won't be part of the contest, but let's keep that in mind. So the first one's a big one, marquee game. New Orleans is going to Atlanta. Obviously, New Orleans big boyed them with Taysom Hill's debut a couple weeks ago. Atlanta, big win. New Orleans opened as a 3-point favorite on the road, 47.5 point total. In Circa, it's 2.5 with a 45-point total. I like that 3 when I saw it for Atlanta, to be honest with you, Action, but I don't know. 2.5 seems like a nice number for New Orleans now. So I'm not sure where you're at on this game.
Yeah, ditto. I really like Atlanta at 3 and or better. And it's tough at 2.5, but I was really disappointed in the New Orleans offense last week.
Mhm.
Despite the 31-3 scoreline, I don't think that offense performed well at all.
Right.
And you've seen Taysom Hill, another lackluster game where he's not really throwing the ball.
Hmm.
So, and on the flip side, the Atlanta defense has been supremely impressive. We already talked about their steel curtain performance last week against Las Vegas, but they've stacked up several of those in a row. And I think that Atlanta is certainly a live dog in this game.
Hmm.
If you recall, 2 weeks ago, it was the first matchup between these two teams, and New Orleans squeaked out a cover in that one. It was another close game. So
Hmm.
I would only side with Atlanta here, but again, under 3 is difficult.
I'd love to see Julio in the lineup and Gurley. It's funny. After the performance against the Broncos, not that that merits this decision, but I did grab my futures tickets on both Super Bowl and NFC Championship for Saints. I
Nice.
just kind of feel like they're in a position, especially when Breeze comes back, that they're going to be, incredible. That defense is playing at a really high level. So I like to see that to go with Atlanta, but I definitely think the under's in play here at 45. I mean, usually this game's usually the high scoring game, but it seems like the defenses are playing better now.
Hmm. Yeah, no doubt about it. I like the under as well. 45, certainly a key number in the NFL. So
Right. The next one is Jacksonville goes to Minnesota. Minnesota's a 9-point favorite at home with 50-point total. In the contest, that's when they opened. Now they're 10-point favorites at home, 52.5 point total. We didn't even talk about this game. This was one of our kind of low key picks where the Panthers, I don't know how they lost this game. They ended up losing
mhm.
28-27. They have 2 defensive scores in the third quarter somehow, and they still lose. They get the backdoor, or they actually get the win, but Minnesota did not cover the number. I think it was like 5 points. So we were sitting pretty. I don't know, man. Jacksonville looked decent last week. Am I getting suckered in here? I mean, not just Mike Glennon. I thought the running game's been good most of the year. They didn't play good against the Steelers, but that's an elite defense. Minnesota doesn't have the same kind of defense, right? 10 points is a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. And Mike Glennon was impressive actually last week. I think that he gives them a little bit of life on that side of the ball. So I certainly think that it would probably have to be Jacksonville or pass for me at this number, but I'm not sure that I'd like to tag them as one of my strong plays this week. So um, I don't know how you feel if you like them strongly or not, but I think we should put them into the pass category.
Okay. I mean, on my list, they are on the list. So I did
Okay.
list them. But if we come up with 5 better picks, it's just hard, in the next one we're going to cover these bottom feeder teams. It's really hard to back them for me. Visceral reaction, even though I did the money line with the Jets last week, whatever. So yeah, let's put it on the side for now. Good idea.
Okay.
The next one is, as we said, the Raiders are going to New York and playing the mighty Jets. The Raiders opened up as an 8-point favorite on the road, 48-point total. In the contest, it's 8.5, 47-point total. Look, I've been saying this all year. The Jets aren't going to lose all their games, but now I'm thinking they might. And Miami, they Fitzmagic was he played well, so they were, it was maybe different. It was Tua, and the Vegas isn't going to lose this game, right? I mean, the 8.5. Ugh, I can't back the Jets. Basically, I'm surprised you're not all over your Jets here,
I would be if Joe Flacco was the quarterback. I
right?
think there's a drastic difference between the two quarterbacks. Sam Darnold is terrible.
Awful,
And
yeah.
I don't know what the deal is, whether they're putting him in there because they are trying to lose games. They're certainly not giving him any sort of trade value if that's their game plan.
Hmm.
So I can't pick out what the Jets are doing, but I also don't think I want to lay 8.5 now with Las
Oof.
Vegas in New York. I think we should just straight up pass this game.
Yeah, that's a pass game for me too. Thank you. Thank you, Action. I'm glad I didn't have to talk you off the Jets leg. But I was there last week. I think I told you I was feeling saucy. I'm going money line plus 275 Jets or 285. Well, they looked good after the first field goal. That was 20 to
Yeah, right. They were up 3-0.
All right, next one. Cleveland against Tennessee. Tennessee opened as a 6-point favorite at home, 54-point total. In the contest, it's 55 and a half, I'm sorry, 5.5 at home, 5.5 at home, 54-point total. So it's interesting, Cleveland is, I don't like Cleveland. I want to establish that. It's not just
Okay.
because you're cousin, but they've let us down numerous times, especially with the hook as a favorite. But man, Tennessee can't stop the run, right? Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. They're well, 17th ranked against the run, but 27 against the pass. But I think the bigger issue on that side of the ball is their lack of pressure up front.
Hmm.
They have no pass rush whatsoever, and that's really the way to handle this Browns passing game is by
Yeah,
putting Baker under pressure. And I don't think they're capable of doing that. So
right.
I really think this is a little bit of an inflated number here based on the performance that you saw from King Henry
King
last
Henry.
week. So while I think that Tennessee certainly can have some success against the Cleveland defense, I
Sure.
think that Cleveland's ability to stop the run is to that of Tennessee. And for that
Right.
reason, I think there's a good value on that side.
Yeah, I think there's value too. I just I hate going against Tennessee at home, especially Vrabel is kind of renowned, at least the last 2 years, pounding Henry in December, and it's worked 2 years in a row.
True.
But I mean, I don't see the Browns doing anything different. It could be just a, Chubb versus Henry affair. It's kind of like an SEC matchup, right? Chubb was a Georgia guy, and you got a Bama running back in the other end. So let's chalk it as a maybe. I like that yellow pick there.
Okay.
Next one is, I know Detroit's not your beloved, but your adopted team, Detroit, coming to Chicago. Chicago opened as a 6-point favorite. I'm not sure when that was. 45-point total, and now they're a 3-point favorite at home, 44.5-point total. Wow, these are two bad teams now. Mitch looked terrible. We didn't talk about that on our list. He looked awful against Green Bay. I don't know. I actually was excited for him to play. I thought there was a chance they could play better. I'm glad I didn't bet on the game, but damn, man, they didn't look good. Their defense got brutalized in that game. I don't think Detroit can do that, but it's hard for me to stomach picking the Bears here, and I don't think I can back your Lions here, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, whoever opened the six was probably regretting that because quickly bet down. I think there was some pretty good value on Detroit at those inflated numbers.
Sure.
3 is certainly a different ball game, but if I were to be picking this on the side of the Lions, you also have the added factor of the coach fired,
Sure.
and now they're playing for the OC. I think it's OC, who is the temporary coach. So. Um, Yeah, I think we should pass, but we could maybe talk you into the Lions later this week,
Oof.
possibly.
Maybe. I don't know.
Akeem Hicks. No, with all seriousness, though, Akeem Hicks is a serious key for the defense, and if he's
Yeah.
out again, I think they're gonna have a hard time stopping the run, whether
Right.
it's Adrian Peterson or Swift.
Right. Right. Exactly. Okay. Well, let's just keep it on the side for now. I know you
Okay.
want to put yellow on Detroit really badly. Um, all right. Next one, Cincinnati, Miami. Miami opened as a 10.5-point favorite, 42.5-point total at home. Now it's up to an 11.5-point favorite with a low total of 41.5. Kind of interesting action. I obviously like Fitzmagic and I like this Miami team in general. Kind of a big number for that total. Cincinnati didn't play half bad. They covered against who was it?
Mhm.
Was it the Browns last week? No, not the Browns. They played
Giants at home.
the Giants, right? I mean, they played okay. It was a low-scoring game. So I don't know. 11 points back the Bengals without Burrow, but dang, 11 and a half is a lot of points.
Yeah, it is a big number, and it seems a bit inflated. Certainly, when you look at the total, 41 and a half
Hmm.
is that's a big number for such a low
Yeah.
total. And
Hmm.
it kind of leads you to believe that odds makers don't expect Cincinnati to score much in this game.
Correct.
So team total implied there is like 15. And
Hmm.
if you think the Miami Dolphins defense could hold him down lower than that level, there certainly may be a pick there. But I think it would have to be the Bengals or pass. I'm
Right.
not sure that I could get behind Brandon Allen, though, as quarterback.
Yeah, not for the contest. I might be picking this just to throw some money on it, but dang. Yeah, I was hoping a little bit lower number in that game, but I get it. I understand why Burrow's out, so inflated as it is every week. As we go down the card, we got to start making some decisions. Action. We're not a lot of
Mhm.
games here. Okay, here's one that I think we're going to be on the same side. The Colts are going to Houston. Colts open as a 3.5 point favorite, 52 point total. That's basically the same in the contest. 3.5 point favorite, 51 point total. I don't like the Kelly injury. I don't know if Jonathan Taylor's going to be back. This Houston defense is terrible, and they don't have any offense right now. And what I can see, even though Watson's sublime, I like the Colts in this one, even though there's a hook.
Yeah, agreed. I wish that I would have jumped on a three. There was some juice threes early part of this week that
Yep.
have since disappeared. But I
Yep.
agree. I think that the Colts are certainly capable of covering this number. Would like to see a little bit of defensive health, a little bit. DeForest Buckner, I'm hoping will be back. I think I read that Jonathan Taylor is going to be out again this week, but I think he's way less valuable than the
Sure.
defensive and offensive linemen for that matter.
Right.
So if we can read the wires and see that maybe Ryan Kelly's trending towards playing, Costanzo is also questionable. We didn't mention earlier,
Right.
but I also think that the loss of those wide receivers are going to be really detrimental to Deshaun Watson's passing game
Oh, yeah.
because the splits with Fuller in the lineup and out of the lineup are drastic. And
Oh,
this
yeah.
Colts defense is certainly capable of playing some good pass defense as well.
No, agreed. Agreed. I mean, they just kind of got pummeled in the last one. I think that they'll come out and play better in this one. So we'll
Mhm.
see. And it's important for the division. They got to keep pace with the Titans, and there's a lot of other teams nipping at the wild card.
Yep.
Okay, next one, Rams against Arizona. Rams are going to Arizona. They open as a 1.5 point favorite on the road, 48 point total. In the contest, it's 2.5, 48.5 point total again. Interesting game action. I do like the Rams team generally. Arizona is kind of showing themselves. They got beat up in New England. They didn't play well in that game at all. And I don't know if it was just because it was the game plan. They kind of got out physicaled, or maybe after that Seattle letdown. I'm not sure, but it's hard. I don't think the Rams, I don't know. I mean, what's the Arizona defensive pressure like? I mean, are they going to get to Goff to give that same handicap? No.
No, I don't think so. I think, and I think you hit the key. Arizona as Chandler Jones, their best pass rusher, has been gone for several weeks now,
Hmm.
and their ability to rush the passer is certainly diminished. I think the other big factor is Kyler Murray's injury. I mean,
Yes.
he was out there all last week, but I didn't watch it that carefully. But I heard reports that he was not running with the same uh, drive that he has in weeks past. He was reluctant to get outside the pocket, which is certainly a huge dynamic for this offense.
Sure, there's the ambulance. Hey,
Right on
I
time.
forgot to mention, and I don't think we picked it up late. I think Larry Fitzgerald, I don't know if he got COVID or he was out of the
Mhm.
lineup last week.
Yeah, he
And
did.
he's critical only because he's just that safety valve for
Mhm.
him. So we have to check that. So are we talking ourselves into the Rams pick here?
Yeah, absolutely. I like the Rams. Failed to mention that a moment ago, but I do like them, especially at 2.5. I think they're going to bounce back and get a win on the road here this week.
Yeah, yeah, and this is, I mean, such a critical game in this division. Right now, as it sits, three of the four teams are in the playoffs, I believe.
Hmm.
So, Rams still have a shot at the division, against Seattle, and then, Arizona still has it. So we'll see. I think the defense for the Rams will show up in this one. We'll see. Okay, next one, Giants going to Seattle. This is Ridgeway's team. Seattle played, okay on. Got just dude's a beast. And Metcalf is so amazing. So 10 point favorite opener at home, 47.5 point total. They still have that 10 point total or 10 point favorite in the Circa Contest, 46.5 point total. Now, Daniel Jones may or may not play. We know that. I know this is a little crazy action, but I might be thinking on the Giants here, and I don't like the NFC East, but that defense is decent, man.
They are. What do you think the drop off is between Daniel Jones to Colt McCoy?
I don't think it at all. I'm not a Daniel Jones guy, so I
Okay.
don't know. I mean, I don't think it's a couple of points. I mean, my theory with Seattle is now they did play pretty well defensively against the Eagles, but
Yeah.
that offensive line is a turnstile. They stink. I don't know. I mean, are the Giants going to score? Are they going to score 14 points in this game? Are they going to score 17 points? I think that they can hold the Seattle offense down, mid to low 20s basically. So, what are we talking here? Can we do this? Is this a possibility? I mean, we don't have to go for it. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
my analysis tells me that this game is to target. It's just they're a little Seattle is kind of an anomaly. They're a lot like the Cowboys last year. Their defense is pretty bad, and their offense is incredible. Now they played
Mhm.
good defensively against a really bad offensive line in Philly, but the Giants have played this kind of old school football, even with Daniel Jones. I mean, they're grinding it out and they're playing great defense. So it kind of fits against the style of Seattle.
Yeah, it is a big number, and I don't believe that Seattle has won a game by 10 points this entire season. They beat San Francisco by 10, 37-27, but
Mhm.
outside of that, they haven't covered a 10-point spread the entire season.
Right.
So interesting there, but I do think that McCoy is a little bit of a drop off, especially the way that Jones has been playing lately.
Hmm.
So I would want to monitor that injury quite a bit, but we could talk about it a little bit more. I'd like to dig into the matchups. I know that Carlos Dunlap is
Hmm.
questionable as well on that Seattle
He is.
defensive line, and he has been playing really well last couple of games also.
He's been kind of their difference maker at the pass rush. They also have brought back Jamal Adams, who is basically a default linebacker because he blitzes all the time. They're blitzing the house all the time. So maybe you're right, but yeah, certainly a big number. I'd like to put a yellow on this one, but it's up to you. It's up to you. Let's
I'll
go to
do
the
you
next.
I'll do you a solid.
Thanks, Action. Here we go. Philadelphia, and the Wentz show go to Green Bay this time. Green Bay is a 7-point favorite at home, 48-point total. They are usually really good in December. It's up to 8.5 in the contest, 47-point total. They obviously, rocked the Bears. You know, Normally speaking, I'd be all over the Eagles at an 8.5 points, especially, in a game where they kind of have to win. But we've been burned by this team, and I also just think Green Bay, their pass rush can get through this terrible offensive line, and they're definitely going to put up points on the Eagles, even though the Eagles' defense has been playing pretty good.
Mhm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think I was just gonna at that point you hit it spot on. The Green Bay Packers pass rush has been playing a lot better lately. They've
Hmm.
added a third guy into that mix. His name escapes me now, but beyond the two Smith brothers, they're really rushing the quarterback lately, and
Right.
I think that Wentz is going to be in some trouble this week. I was kind of surprised that the number was this low, to be honest with you. I expected to see double digits in this one.
Hmm. Yeah, it's right about where I think it should be. Nine points is
Okay.
what I had, so it's right there. But I mean, to your point, I think they're getting a lot more respect. Again, the Eagles have done this the last couple of weeks. They've played pretty good defensively, but just can't get it done, right? Offensively, we've seen it 2 weeks in a row at Cleveland, and then at home against Seattle. And Seattle's defense, as well, they sacked Wentz 7 times on Monday night. Action. I mean,
Mhm.
this team's 30. They were 32nd going to that game on defense, and they got after it. So I don't like this Eagles team. I just have a bad feeling about them.
Yeah, I have no interest in the Eagles. I could be talked into the Packers though.
Okay. Can I interest you in a Chargers game? The Chargers open as a 2.5 point favorite, 49-point total against the Patriots, and now it's flipped over. New England's a 1 point favorite on the road, 48-point total. I mean, God, dude, the numbers scream you got to take the Chargers again. I mean, they're a better team theoretically, and Bosa was playing like a man last week, even though they gave up 27 points. But dude, I mean, can we trust Anthony Lynn? I mean, it's not even the covering. That means they have to win the game, basically, right? I mean, they could lose by one, but we know that we have to pick them to win the game.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I just can't quit Anthony Lynn, and you're right. I mean, the numbers are just scream. New England's defense is pitiful. 31st ranked and 32 against the pass. Uh, I think that Justin Herbert is going to be in. We
Yeah.
just have to hope at the end.
I know. I know. Like, hope and pray that he's going to cover his first game in 6 weeks. Let's do this,
Yeah.
Chargers. I mean, it reminds me a lot of that game when New England went down to Houston. They
Mhm.
played really good the week before. They go down to Houston, lay an egg. Houston lit them up. The Chargers have all their weapons. They're playing really well on offense. It's just for some reason defensively, I mean, they didn't get the ball in the end zone against Buffalo, but I mean, they're going to score 21 points here, I think. So it's just can New England. I don't know. Cam and the gang. Now, what are the Chargers against the run? Because we know that New England's going to run the ball, right? So
30,
that's
31st.
oof.
Yeah,
God, man, that sucks.
not ideal.
Ugh. Well, let's put it as a yellow. We got a lot of
Okay.
yellows this week, action. Damn
I
it.
mean, it is definitely scary. I think you wrote, I know I'm crazy, but uh, Belichick versus Anthony Lynn is scary.
I mean, there's no contest there. But damn, but I mean, I don't know. I guess the Patriots theoretically, and it's a numbers. They're not eliminated from playoff contention, right? They're 5-6. They've
I
they've
think
kind
that's
of
right.
righted the ship a little bit. I don't know. Oof. I mean, it's going to be a grinder if they're going to win. If they're going to win, if you think New England's going to win this game, it's going to be lower than that 48, though. It is. They're not going to put up points.
Oh, yeah. If you like New England, you have to like the under. I
Yeah.
agree
Yeah.
wholeheartedly.
So I don't, and that's a rare situation where you see the favorite and an under. Like, isn't it supposed to be the
Mhm.
opposite way? But that's just
Mhm.
how New England plays. All right, let's go to the next one. Denver is going to go to Kansas City. Kansas City opened as a 13-point favorite. This is the Sunday night game, and 50 and a half point total. Now they're up to 14 in our contest, which is a big number. 51 point total. Whew. I mean, I love the Chiefs. I love the Chiefs. I got my Chiefs, got the chop going. 14 is just a lot. And I don't love Denver. I don't think they're very good. But it just screams for you to take that road dog, right, at 14 and hold on for your life. I just don't know if I have the stomach to do it.
Yeah. That in 1998, that 14 would be a slam dunk, but it's now 2020, and I think that Kansas City is certainly capable of covering this. I think that Drew Lock's going to be back, so it's not like another
Sure.
situation where they're going to be trotting out Kendall Hinton at quarterback.
No,
But
it's not, yeah.
I still think this line is appropriate given the circumstances. The one pause that I have on the Kansas City side is just the ginormous sandwich spot. I believe that they're going on the road to New Orleans next week, and that's
Mm,
off the heels of the big game against Tampa Bay. So
sure, sure.
definitely tough to lay the number there.
Yeah, we'll see. We usually talk about contrarian picks, like for the listeners that are still listening. On Saturday we kind of start talking about our picks and which ones we like better, and we start looking at contrarian. We're trying to move up the standings. We want to be like everybody else, and it's worked out. So
Mhm.
maybe in certain cases, we know that the field really likes the favorites. Now I don't know if they go with 14 points, but they do take a lot of favorites in general. All right, last game on the card for us is Washington going to Pittsburgh. I didn't have an opening number there, but in the Circa Contest, Pittsburgh's a 7.5 point favorite at home. I'm looking at Rivers. The total for this game, let's see here, is I guess I got 42 and a half, which seems kind of appropriate with these two defenses. I actually think the number, it's funny, it's right about where it should be, I suppose. At Rivers, I'm seeing it at 8.5. So I don't know if Rivers is thinking there's going to be some money. I'm sorry, Circa's thinking there's going to be some money on Washington coming into this game. Um, it is a big-ish number,
Mhm.
for this Steelers game. They didn't cover against the underman Ravens team, and they don't cover big numbers. I mean, Jacksonville they did, but they usually don't cover these big numbers. But I don't know. I mean, Washington's offense isn't that great, but that defense is decent.
Yeah, they've been playing a lot better lately. And I've also been, on the other side, disappointed in the Steelers' offense the
Hmm.
past several weeks. Underperformed, especially James Conner, who is now out. And
Hmm.
I think even the passing game has struggled the last several weeks. I also I didn't see what I saw Bud Dupree go down yesterday, and I didn't see the outcome of that, but
Okay.
I imagine that he's out. It looked like a pretty serious injury at the time. So I have some question marks on the Pittsburgh defensive side. And thirdly, this is a cross-conference game, and the
Yep.
Steelers are now 11-0, and I think that they're going to have very little motivation to go out and lay a big number on the football team.
Right. Now, here's a question for you, and I haven't looked at their schedule, so I don't know it off the top of my head, but you don't think the Steelers are going undefeated, right?
I mean, I've heard discussion about their schedule, and they don't really have a tough game left except for one on the road at Buffalo, I believe.
Okay, so they play Buffalo. They play, obviously they've already played the Ravens twice. They got to
Hmm.
play the Browns again, but they own the
Yep.
Browns.
Yep.
Play the Bengals, I'm sure. So they don't have to play any elite team. Not that they're going to lose this game, but it's kind of screams to me to be one of those games. Alex Smith, who plays, been playing well, just goes out, does his thing. They keep in the game. It's going to be like 14-10 going into the fourth quarter where Washington's
Hmm.
winning, and then Ben pulls it out. They win maybe 17-14, or maybe it's 20-14. So I do like the number for Washington. It's just, I mean, the Steelers team is, they're the best team in my index. I mean, it's just simple. They're the best, and then the Saints, and then the Chiefs. They're in that one of that order. I think it's one of the three. So it's hard to go against one of my top teams, but these numbers are 7.5 is a nice number.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers defense is without a doubt top of the league, and it may be tough for Washington with Alex Smith at the helm to move the ball effectively. So it could be a little bit of a question mark, but I do think that the under is probably in play, which lends more value to the underdog here.
Sure, sure. Okay. Well, we'll skip over Dallas and Baltimore, but it looks like that number you posted as a 7-point favorite for Baltimore on the Tuesday game. It won't be part of the contest and hasn't firmed up because we don't even know if Lamar Jackson's playing, right?
I've read that his time period is supposed to expire just before this game. So,
Hmm.
um, given the timeline, he is capable of returning, but of course, that would probably have to also include negative tests.
Right.
So,
Oh, how
um,
convenient. They got a gift from the NFL. And
right.
again, I don't know. I was talking to my buddy Ulrich, who good friend of mine, loves football. He just believes that they're sweetheart teams, and they probably are. Baltimore's one of those teams. Steelers are one of those teams. Cowboys, they're going to get every benefit of the doubt. And
Hmm.
they want, and I want to see Baltimore full healthy playing these games. I want to see them play the Steelers again with their full complement of players. But they're 6-5 now. They got to win. So I
Yeah.
mean, that's part of it. They can't lose this game, and they probably won't. But
Yeah. We did skip over one other game,
I
which
will skip
is
over those games.
going to be played in Arizona on Monday night,
Oh,
where you've got the Buffalo Bills
yeah.
returning to Arizona to play against San Francisco.
Oh, there it is. I see it.
It's
Oh,
kind of split in the page there. Yeah,
I got you. I got you. Oh, I see it now. Okay, sorry, buddy.
no
Yes,
worries.
that's right. This is the actual Monday night game, but they're playing in Arizona, like you said, because Santa Clara doesn't allow what sports teams or something.
Contact sports. Santa Clara banned all sports.
It's ridiculous. Well, we've got in this game, Buffalo open as a 3-point favorite on the road at San Francisco, which is really Arizona. 48-point total. I mean, I when I that first came out, and then I see the Circa number at a pick, I'm like, damn them. I really wanted that three. It's at 48-point total as well, but now it's at a pick. So Buffalo goes on the road. We like Buffalo, and they've obviously played in that Arizona stadium. They almost won. I really like San Francisco in an underdog spot. You still like them at the pick?
I do, yeah. I mean, it's definitely not one of my stronger plays now, given the line move. But I think another subject that we didn't talk about was the return of Debo Samuel, who just adds a whole another dynamic element to that
That's good.
offense. And I think despite the Jimmy G drop off to Nick Mullins, the addition back into the lineup is a significant factor for them. And Buffalo's defense has been subpar all season, and I
Hmm.
fully expect Kyle Shanahan and company to have something ready for them on Monday.
It's definitely a matchup of great coaches. I really like McDermott. I love, I like Shanahan too. So it should be a fun matchup. So I can probably get on board with that. Let's see what our other picks are. Like a
Okay.
lot of yellows on the card this week, action. But
Hmm.
like I said, I marked it at list. The first one on the list is as we look at the potential games at -2.5 or three. I was like all over the game. So
Yeah, no doubt.
all right, let's review week 13 picks. First of all, the contest update. Guys, we went 5-0 last week. This just in. We put it all over Twitter. I'm sure our 5 followers, liked it. But hey, after 11 weeks, we're 55%, 33 and 27. More importantly, we've been able, as we talked about, going contrarian. We've rocketed up the standings. I think we were in like 1200th place like 3 weeks ago. Now we're in 339th for the season. And in third quarter, which closed out, we got all the way up to 316th. Now we were atrocious after that 0-5 game, so I guess it kind of balances out. We're in the mix, guys, and we get the top 50, we'll get some cash. So we really want to keep this up. Our potential games this week, we just talked about the 49ers at a pick, Buffalo. I know, we'll look at it. The Chargers getting 1 point at home against New England. Whoa, stomach's turning. Were you on board with me or as a maybe with the Jags, or am I just speaking out of turn here?
I could get down for a maybe.
Yeah, it's actually 10 in the contest right here. So 10 points in the contest with the Jags at Minnesota. And then but the favorites we like the Colts 3.5 on the road at Houston. We do like the Rams on the road at Arizona, just because of that defensive line against Kyler Murray and the gang. And then maybe I can get action to think about the Giants getting 10 points at Seattle against Ridgeway's bunch. So we've got some to pick with. We definitely have 2 solids, and we've got 4 or 5 other ones. Did I forget any others on our card?
I think you got most of them. Oh, we talked about Cleveland as well.
Oh, yeah, Cleveland, right.
5.5.
And that's one that metrically probably makes more sense than the pick. But, let's put them on the card. So we've got a good 6-7 to pick, get down to 5, get another 5-0, and get up to the top of the standings action.
Yeah, I think that our work is not done. We've got a lot of hard work ahead of us, and the final quarter of the season is 5 weeks as well. So got that extra week in there. Hopefully we can knock out a 25-0 and just vault to the top.
25-0. We'll get it. We'll get the $1 million, and we'll have the party. We'll have it at Circa Pool.
Right.
Everybody, meet us at the Circa Pool. But no, seriously, I mean, I think that the 2 approaches that have worked for us this year, even though we had the one bad week, which kind of is disappointing because we'd probably be right in the mix even more, is we've attacked it not just metrically. We've tried to think about contrarian picks to not go with the flow. I think it's worked with us, that it seems like everybody's going favorites now. And the other thing is the top dogs, the guys who are at the top, who were just dominating early, have obviously come back to the pack a little bit. So, right now, if you're at 60%, picks, you're in the money, right? And we're not that far off of there. And then the top dog's only at 70%. Not that we can jump all the way up there, but it's not like it's somebody who's doing 90% this year. Last year, even the quarters, this last quarter, I think the money was 15, I think, or maybe it was 15 or 16. So we weren't that far off from the quarter, to be honest with you. If we didn't tank that 1 week, we'd be right there for the quarter. So, so we'll see. I mean, I'm following this closely, action, obviously checking our standings all the time.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're definitely on the cusp of cashing this year, so we really need to focus in. And this is really the time of the year where it gets difficult. You go after Thanksgiving into December, and your mind kind of drifts a little bit. So we can focus in, keep our eyes on the COVID wire, and try to pick out another easy winner like the Saints this past weekend. Yeah,
exactly. We like those. Well, hey, everybody, keep listening to us. Like the podcast, share it with your friends. Check us out on Side Action Pod on Twitter and on YouTube. Follow me at Wegspool on Twitter and Instagram.
And you can follow me on Twitter at 31sroberts.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Good luck this week.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Bye now.